This is the story of the most dominant deep threat of the 1970s and 1980s. A three-time Super Bowl champion who held NFL career playoff records for receptions and receiving yards when he retired, outproduced nearly every Hall of Fame receiver of this generation and forced defenses to fundamentally change how they covered the pass. And yet, he waited over 30 years for Hall of Fame recognition. He died in 2019, 3 years before his name was finally called. Today, Old School Sundays is bringing you Cliff Branch. And if you watched football in the 1970s and 80s, you knew him as the most dangerous man in silver and black. If you didn't, there's a good chance you've never heard of him at all. That changes today. Clifford Branch Jr. was born August 1st, 1948 in Houston, Texas. He grew up in the Sunnyside neighborhood, a community that would produce NFL legends like Otis Taylor and Mike Singletary. Branch attended Worthing High School, where he played in the Prairie View Interscholastic League, the segregated athletic league for black Texas high schools. And he wasn't just good. As a junior, Branch set a state record in the 100-yard dash at 9.3 seconds. Let that sink in. 9.3 seconds. As a senior, he won the state 220-yard dash in 22.1 seconds. On the football field, he earned two-time All-District honors. He'd later be inducted into the Texas High School Football Hall of Fame. From there, Branch went to Wharton County Junior College, where he won national junior college championships in both the 100-yard dash and the 220-yard dash. He was an All-American in both track and football. Then he headed to the University of Colorado. At Colorado, Branch became one of the most explosive players in college football history. In just 22 games, he racked up 16 total touchdowns. He set an NCAA record with 8 career kickoff return touchdowns, a record that stood for over 3 decades. He also had 6 career punt return touchdowns, which is still a Colorado record today. The man had 11 plays of 59 yards or longer in his entire college career. But here's where it gets wild. At the 1972 NCAA Track Championships in Eugene, Oregon, Branch ran a 10-second 100-meter in the semifinal, setting a championship meet record. His personal best in the 200-meter was 20.5 seconds. His 40-yard dash time was estimated at 4.25 seconds. He was a legit candidate for the 1972 U.S. Olympic team. After his final college race, Branch made his choice clear. My goal has always been to win the NCAA 100-meter championship. This is my last track meet since I expect to sign a pro contract with the Oakland Raiders within the next 2 weeks. He chose football, and the NFL would never be the same. The Oakland Raiders drafted Cliff Branch in the 4th round of the 1972 NFL Draft, the 98th overall pick. That draft is widely considered one of the weakest in NFL history. Only 2 Hall of Famers came out of it, Franco Harris and Cliff Branch. But Branch didn't arrive in Oklahoma as a polished product. He had world-class speed, sure, but he dropped passes. He was raw. That's when Fred Biletnikoff stepped in. Biletnikoff was the Raiders' veteran possession receiver, a future Hall of Famer himself. He made a pact with Branch. They would stay after practice every day and catch up to 300 balls thrown from different angles. Biletnikoff drilled one message over and over: reach out and catch the ball with your hands. Branch also worked the speed bag and played ping pong to develop hand-eye coordination. Years later, he called Biletnikoff father and recalled their relationship. I see him now and I say, "Hey, father," and he says, "Hey, son." He taught me to catch the ball with my hands, not my chest. He still asks me, "You catching the ball with your hands?" "Yes, father." The work paid off. By 1974, Branch exploded onto the scene. He led the entire NFL with 1,092 receiving yards and 13 touchdowns. He earned first-team All-Pro honors. In 1975, he did it again. 893 yards, 9 touchdowns, another first-team All-Pro selection. And then came 1976. That season might be the most impressive of Branch's career. He caught 46 passes for 1,111 yards and 12 touchdowns, leading the league in scoring again. But the number that jumps off the page is his yards per catch, 24.2. That's a Raiders franchise record that still stands today. He was averaging nearly 80 receiving yards per game, more than 50% of the entire passing output of the average NFL team that season. Over his 14-year career, Branch caught 501 passes for 8,685 yards and 67 touchdowns. His career average of 17.3 yards per reception exceeds every Hall of Fame receiver of his era. He made 4 Pro Bowls and earned 3 first-team All-Pro selections. He led the Raiders in receiving yards 6 times, and when he retired, he held NFL all-time career playoff records for both receptions and receiving yards. Numbers are one thing, impact is another. And Cliff Branch showed how the game was played. Hall of Fame safety Kenny Easley of the Seahawks put it bluntly. I always gave him 13 yards of cushion, and that wasn't enough. He mandated 2 defenders. Hall of Fame quarterback Mel Blount of the Steelers was even more direct. In one game, he embarrassed me and got me benched. That was the 1974 AFC Championship. Branch caught 9 passes for 186 yards. Steelers coach Chuck Noll pulled Blount in the second half. Blount later called it a turning point in my career. Hall of Fame safety Ronnie Lott of the 49ers remembered a conversation with Branch. He told me, "You can't catch me." He was right, so I told him I can't catch you, but hopefully I'll knock the crap out of you. Branch forced safeties to shade to his side on every single play. That opened up one-on-one matchups for his teammates across the field. John Madden, his coach for 7 seasons, explained the ripple effect. We were a power-running team, and he helped that by taking the top off defenses, requiring multiple defenders so they could not load the box. He was always a key whether we ran or passed. His dominance also contributed to the environment that produced the 1978 Mel Blount Rule, which restricted defensive contact to within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. As one columnist wrote, imagine defensive backs not being able to touch him past 5 yards. Imagine the folly of it. He would be impossible to stop. Lester Hayes, Branch's teammate, explained what set him apart from other speedsters. Most speed guys were simply vertical guys, but he could run a slant, a go and out comeback, post, corner. 90% of the time, I think he was going vertical. And if he was in a single coverage, he'd cut it and go deep. Cliff was unleashed. Marcus Allen, another Hall of Fame teammate, offered the ultimate compliment. A lot of guys in the Hall of Fame couldn't play today's game. Cliff is one of those guys who could play yesterday and today. If he played today, he would destroy the league. Cliff Branch is the only wide receiver who played on all 3 Raiders Super Bowl championship teams. Let's walk through each one. Super Bowl XI, January 9th, 1977. Oakland Raiders 32, Minnesota Vikings 14. Branch's stat line was quiet. 3 catches for 20 yards, but his deep threat presence was vital. The Raiders rolled up a then Super Bowl record 429 total yards. Fred Biletnikoff won MVP, and Branch's regular season that year, 46 catches, 1,111 yards, 12 touchdowns at 24.2 yards per catch, was a major reason the Raiders got there in the first place. His quarterback was Ken Stabler. His coach was John Madden. Super Bowl XV, January 25th, 1981. Oakland Raiders 27, Philadelphia Eagles 10. This was Branch's defining Super Bowl performance. He caught 5 passes for 67 yards and 2 touchdowns. On the game's first possession, Branch capped the opening drive with a 2-yard touchdown catch from Jim Plunkett. In the third quarter, he hauled in a 29-yard touchdown. A contested catch where Eagles rookie cornerback Roynell Young briefly intercepted the ball, only for Branch to rip it from Young's grasp and hold on through the tackle. Plunkett said, "That was a great individual effort. He took the ball right out of the cornerback's hands." The Raiders became the first wild-card team in NFL history to reach a Super Bowl. Tom Flores became the first Latino head coach to win one, and Branch was at the heart of all of it. Super Bowl XVIII, January 22nd, 1984. Los Angeles Raiders 38, Washington Redskins 9. Branch's most productive Super Bowl by volume, 6 catches for 94 yards and a touchdown. In the second quarter, Plunkett hit Branch for a 50-yard catch down the middle. 2 plays later, Branch scored on a 12-yard post route to make it 14-zip. He also served as a lead blocker during Marcus Allen's legendary 74-yard touchdown run. The Raiders demolished the defending champion Redskins, who had finished 14-2 in the regular season, by 29 points. It was a Super Bowl record at the time. Across 3 Super Bowls, Branch caught 14 passes for 181 yards and 3 touchdowns. He went 3-0. He tied the Super Bowl record for most receiving touchdowns in a single game and most career Super Bowl receiving touchdowns. If there's one play that captures everything Cliff Branch was, it happened on October 2nd, 1983 at RFK Stadium in Washington against the defending champion Redskins. The Raiders were trailing 10-0. Jim Plunkett had already thrown 3 interceptions. They were backed up on their own 1-yard line after a punt. Plunkett dropped back 8 yards into the end zone after a play-action fake. Branch lined up wide left, blew past cornerback Vernon Dean. Plunkett lofted a deep ball down the left sideline. Branch caught it in stride at the 35-yard line and ran the remaining 65 yards untouched. Here's how Plunkett remembered it. I looked up and Cliff was already 8 to 10 yards past the guy, so I threw it and he took it the rest of the way. At about the 30-yard line, Cliff's hamstring caught. He strained it and they still couldn't catch him. That was Branch's only catch for the entire game. He was 35 years old. The play tied the NFL record for longest reception, 99 yards, and it remains the Raiders' franchise record. Even with the strained hamstring, nobody could catch him. Cliff Branch first became eligible for the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1991, 5 years after his final season. He would wait over 30 years before induction. He was a semifinalist in 2004 and 2010, but never advanced past that round as a modern-era candidate. Hall of Fame voter Rick Gosselin attributed the delays partly to what he called Raider fatigue, a perception that too many Raiders were being inducted. Branch was also overshadowed by the Pittsburgh Steelers receivers Lynn Swann and John Stallworth. The Drew Pearson versus Cliff Branch debate was a recurring obstacle. But look at the numbers. Compared to Lynn Swann, Branch had 165 more catches, 3,223 more yards, and 16 more touchdowns. He had more Pro Bowls and more All-Pro selections. Compared to John Stallworth, Branch had 4 more touchdowns, 2 more All-Pro selections, and a higher yards per catch average. And Branch led the NFL in receiving yards from 1974 to 1980, outproducing every Hall of Fame receiver of his generation over that stretch. As the years dragged on, John Madden told Branch to be patient. It's going to happen. Stay patient and stay alive. When they call your name for the Hall of Fame, make sure you're there to reap all the benefits. Branch replied with words that would later haunt everyone who heard them. I am not dying until I get into the Hall of Fame. Once I get that call, get that gold jacket and that ring, I could die the next day. But I'm going to stay alive for that deserving honor to come my way. Cliff Branch died on August 3rd, 2019, 2 days after his 71st birthday, in a hotel room in Bullhead City, Arizona. The cause was listed as natural causes. He died on the same day a new Hall of Fame class was being inducted into Canton. He never got to see his name called. On February 10th, 2022, Cliff Branch was confirmed for enshrinement with more than 80% of the selection committee vote. On August 6th, 2022, he was inducted at Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium in Canton, Ohio. Cliff Branch was not merely fast. He was the player who proved the speed could be the organizing principle of an entire offense. From the segregated Texas high school track meets through 3 Super Bowl championships to a gold jacket in Canton, his career traced the arc of the modern passing game itself. The cruelest irony is that the game Branch helped create, today's speed-obsessed vertical passing NFL, forgot about him for 3 decades. Every time Tyreek Hill runs past a safety, every time an offensive coordinator dials up a go route to stretch the field, every time a team drafts a receiver because of his 40 time, they're running plays from Cliff Branch's playbook. He was delayed, but he was not denied. And now you know his name. If you enjoy stories that the NFL rarely shares, then this is the channel for you. Old School Sundays. So make sure you subscribe, like the video, and leave a comment. And I'll see you next time.